Welcome to the Quadrant Centre in Swansea. Now, the X-Ray team are here with me, ready to help stop scammers or dodgy businesses taking you for a ride. First up, you may remember a couple of weeks ago, we told you about a number of Welsh addresses that had been stolen in order to register mysterious foreign companies. Well, after that report, we were contacted by a viewer who'd been experiencing something similar, although potentially far more serious. Here's Danielle.
The arrival of post can feel like a bit of a mixed blessing. It's exciting if it's birthday cards or gifts, not so when it's bills needing to be paid.
So imagine being inundated with thousands of letters in the space of just 3 months, demanding money for businesses you've never even heard of. Sounds like an absolute nightmare, doesn't it?
Well, that's exactly what's been happening to Dylan Davis. It started last November when letters began arriving at his property in Cardiff.
Well, the first time I opened the postbox, there were 580 letters, all HMRC, brown envelopes. So that scared us a little bit. Addresses were of this premises, but they're all different names. They were addressed to different people and different companies.
More letters arrived, then more, and more, and more. Dylan says he's received around 4,000 in total, and it's got to the point where he can no longer keep up.
What did you do with these letters?
I sat and stared at them for a little bit because I couldn't believe the bundle that was here. But eventually decided to put them in a plastic bag and take them down to Cardiff Bay Police Station. But they basically didn't want to know. They said there's nothing they could do about it. I should deliver them to HMRC or ring HMRC.
Dylan says it's all a mystery to him, and he's got nowhere with HMRC. Desperate for answers, he came to X-Ray. He gave us permission to open up the letters, and it turns out that foreign companies, many with incomprehensible-sounding Chinese names, have been registering their businesses at Dylan's address. And, very worryingly, we found hundreds of letters from debt collectors demanding huge amounts of money.
Do you have any idea how much debt is outstanding?
Well, no, not really. I've opened some of these and you will see debts asking for £300, £25, £8,000. And it's mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling indeed. The X-Ray team spent many hours wading through the letters, and we found that HMRC is chasing a whopping £500,000, all to businesses registered at Dylan's address. These huge figures are a shock for him.
Good. It's worrying, isn't it? You know, where does this end? You know, we've got now debt collection agencies on behalf of the HMRC who are going after these debts. Where are they going to go after them, isn't it? This is the only address they've got, isn't it?
As well as being addressed to unusual-sounding companies at Dylan's properties, those letters had one other thing in common. They were all about or linked to unpaid VAT. So, what's going on?
Well, 2 years ago, the law was changed to crack down on VAT evasion by businesses based outside the UK. The new law meant that where you had an overseas company selling their goods, somewhere like Amazon or eBay, it was up to those online marketplaces to collect the VAT from the businesses and then pay it directly to our government. But guess what? If the business uses a UK address to register for VAT, then it's up to them to pay the money to HMRC, meaning unscrupulous companies can dodge paying it. Richard Allen is a campaigner on VAT fraud and says cunning foreign businesses have exploited this loophole.
So how is this all connected to Dylan's address and Chinese companies using his address?
Essentially, the Chinese companies are pretending to be a company in the UK, and they're using Dylan's address as a cover for that, to obtain the VAT registration and to appear to be a genuine UK trader.
How are they getting away with this?
They can file VAT returns that they never intend to pay, but it will take, you know, the best part of a year for the customs authorities to realise they're never going to get any money. By that point, they've sold lots of stuff. And then, of course, when they need to close that fake company, they'll just open another one at another address somewhere else.
Richard, how is HMRC not suspicious when 200 companies are registered at Dylan's address?
You would think that if you've got lots and lots of Chinese companies registered at one address, it looks suspicious. I think a lot of the problem has been that the tax authorities have not really got their head around how online retail actually works.
Tax fraud is a big deal here in the UK. A government report in January said the public purse is missing out on billions of pounds in unpaid taxes.
Graham Barrow is an expert in money laundering and financial crimes.
It's absolutely typical of all sorts of criminal networks that I investigate, is that you just keep one step ahead of law enforcement, you keep moving addresses, it confuses the trail, it makes life harder for law enforcement or for other agencies to track you down. It absolutely smacks to me of sadly, of organised criminal group activity.
What do you recommend Dylan does about this, his next steps?
Well, he really needs to liaise very closely with HMRC. This is just a tiny tip of a massive iceberg. We have to be talking, I suspect, in tens of millions of pounds of unpaid VAT.
All of this is a huge worry for Dylan. He has hundreds of thousands of pounds of debt linked to his address. And despite trying, so far he's been unable to stop the flow of letters.
You have visions of bailiffs knocking on your door and coming in and taking what they think they can take. The more you think about it, the more worried you get, So if you wake up in the middle of the night and start thinking about this, you don't go back to sleep,
This must be such a worry for Dylan. Well, we contacted HMRC about what's been happening to him, and they said that they are investigating, so we'll keep an eye on what's happening with that. They've also advised that anyone who receives letters from HMRC to their home from a business they've never heard of should contact them immediately. HMRC also said they're going to look into these cases, take appropriate action and put things right for customers whose details have been used fraudulently.